Okay, this video is about solving linear inequalities and with their graphs. So there's really no easy way of doing these. You just have to solve them. Remember, so hopefully we can make my handwriting a little better here. Remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip your sign. That's probably going to be my biggest thing for you guys to remember. So if we're solving this inequality, we're going to move our number over first. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Negative 4x is greater than or equal to negative 8. Okay, and then we're going to divide both sides by negative 4 to solve for x, which means we have to flip our sign. Okay, x, flip it, and this would be 2. Okay, always write your letter first, then your sign. And we'll keep going over this and then this. So this is x is less than or equal to 2. Okay, which as long as your letter is written first, this tells you which way the arrow is pointing, and it's pointing this way. So the answer is B, because it's got the line underneath, so greater than or equal to or less than or equal to is a solid dot. Okay, if it's greater than or less than, it's an open dot. Okay, just like greater than or equal to or less than or equal to will be a solid line on a graph, and this one will be dashed. Because this means that it includes that number. This one does not include that number. So x is less than or equal to 2, pointing this way, and so it's B. Same thing here, we're going to have to solve it. Subtract 6 from both sides. Negative 2x greater than or equal to 8. Divide both sides by negative 2x. Okay, since we divided by a negative, we have to flip our sign. So x is less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, and that's going to be A. Rebecca has at most 8 hours of work on her math homework and her history report. The graph shows different combinations of math problems and history reports she can complete. Which of these can she not complete in 8 hours? The biggest thing to understand here, since it's a solid line, the answer can be on the solid line and it can be in the graph, the gray area. So when you talk about inequalities, if it's a solid line, the answer can be there, and then if it's shaded, the answers can be there as well. So can she not do 2 pages and 60 math problems? 2 pages, 60 math problems. She can do that. That's an answer. Okay, but they want to know not 4 pages and 20 math problems. She can definitely do that. 8 pages and 50 math problems. I don't think so. And 14 pages and 10 math problems. Okay, that one's actually right on the line, so that counts, and the answer is C. What value of x represents the solution to the inequality? I'm just going to solve. Subtract 4 from both sides. Negative 2x is less than 4. We're going to divide both sides by negative 2. So we need to flip our sign, and x is greater than negative 2 is your answer. D. Okay, which one is correct? Negative 2x is less than 6. Okay. Ugh. Divide both sides by negative 2. X, we have to flip the sign, is greater than negative 3. Okay. and that is F. Which statement describes this? So you're just going to have to solve once again. I apologize. Okay, divide by -3. We're dividing by negative. Anytime we multiply or divide by negative, we have to flip our sign. Okay, so we get x is greater than -2, and that is D. Okay, which graph represents the inequality? 5x minus y is greater than 2. Okay, here we can get rid of two graphs because it's a greater than, so it's not a solid line, so it has to be this one. Oops, I erased one. Got rid of one of the wrong ones. Okay, so it can't be F or H. Okay, so we have G or J. So the easiest thing to do here is we really have a difference of shading. Is the shading on this side or is the shading on this side? It doesn't go through the point 0, 0, so let's try that. So if we put in 0, 0, this whole thing would go to 0, and you'd get 0 is greater than 2. So then you ask yourself, is 0 greater than 2? If it is, you shade on that side. If it's not, then you shade on the opposite side. 0 is not greater than 2, so the answer must be J. We shade on the side opposite of the point we tested. And always test the point 0, 0 if possible. Okay, this one we actually just break up into two inequalities. And so I will solve one of them first, and then I can solve. Actually, I'd like to do it a different way. You can do it that way, but I think it's easier if you just solve it all at one time. So our goal is to get this in the middle to just be x. So I'm going to move that 4. Okay, so 8 minus 4 is 4. Greater than or equal to, that goes away. We have -2x. Okay, bring down that inequality sign. -2 minus 4 is -6. Okay, then our last step would divide everything by -2. What's in the middle? I'll show you the other way to solve this as well, in case this is confusing you. Okay, we divided by -2, so we've got to flip all of our signs. So we're going to have -2, flip our sign, x, flip our sign, 3. So x is between -2 and +3. So D. Okay, the other way to solve this is how I was going to originally do it. I like to solve them this way because I just think it's easier. But you can also split it into two different graphs. So we have this one and we have this one. So we have 8 is greater than or equal to 4 minus 2x. Okay, then we would subtract 4 from both sides. I am having pencil problems here. 4 oh my goodness, that should say 4 is greater than or equal to -2x. I apologize. -2, divide both sides by -2. Once again, you'll flip your sign. So -2, this is just not listening to me. -2 is less than or equal. Okay, you always want to write your letter first. So we'd write x. It's eating the x, so we make sure when we flip it the other way, it's still eating the x. So x is greater than -2. So we know it's going to be greater than -2. So we know that it goes this way. Then you have to solve the other half. The 4 minus 2x is greater than -2 to get the other half, that x is also less than 3. So that is how you do those. Just remember, you can always usually eliminate based off of greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. And remember to flip your sign if you multiply or divide by negative.